Jardin, and good morning, colleagues and folks on YouTube. As time and time again, we say we're on a virtual meeting, and this is the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee meeting. We have regret from Councillor Gower, but unfortunately won't be able to join us, but we are joined today by the new vice chair of the committee. So Councillor Kitts, welcome aboard. This is a statement to be read for the public hearing for OP and zoning item. This is a public meeting to consider the proposed comprehensive official plan and zoning bylaw amendment listed as item 1 and 2 on today's agenda. For the item just mentioned, only those who make oral submissions today or written submissions before the amendment are adopted by appeal to the matter of the local planning appeal tribunal. In addition, the applicant may appeal the matter to the local planning appeal tribunal if council does not adopt an amendment within 90 days of recipient of the application for zoning and 120 days for an official plan amendment. To submit a written comment on these amendments prior to their consideration by City Council on November 25th. On November, that's
sorry.
That's a typo.
Yeah.
Please email or call committee or council coordinators. So I'm not sure if we have any motion for today, but I don't believe so. So we'll go through, maybe we'll go through protocol, roll call, Mr. Desjardins.
Right. Councillor Meehan.
Here.
Councillor Moffat.
Here.
Councillor DeRuse.
Here.
Councillor Gower sends regrets. Councillor Vice Chair Kitts.
Here.
And Chair El-Shantiri.
Present as well.
You have quorum, Chair.
Thank you. Declaration of interest. See none. Confirmation of minute 20 meeting of the February 4th, 2021 of the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee. Is the minutes confirmed? I see yes, confirmed. Thank you. Item number 1 is zoning bylaw amendment, part of 7070 Mansfield Road. We do have technical amendment going to be moved by Councillor Moffat. Councillor Moffat, you have the amendment.
Yes, thank you. Can't help but notice that Agenda 21 has everything from Ward 21 in it. I don't think any other ward is represented today. I'm so sorry for that. So technical amendments on, just to alter the staff report slightly, that the Agricultural Rural Affairs Committee amend staff report ACS 2021 PIE PS 0032 by deleting recommendation 1 and replacing the text with the following. 1, that the Agricultural Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 for part of 7070 Mansfield Road for the purposes of rezoning a portion of the lands from agricultural zone AG to agricultural zone subzone 6 AG6 to prohibit residential uses on the retained farmland and rezoning a portion of the lands from agricultural zone to the rural countryside zone to ensure the zoning of the entire property is consistent with the official plan as detailed in document 2, and that no further notice be provided pursuant to section 34 subsection 17 of the Planning Acts.
Thank you, Councillor Moffat. So on the technical amendment, okay. On the item number 1 as amended, Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Moffat. Item number 2, official plan and zoning 1164 and 1166 Highcroft Drive. Item number 1, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council A, approve the proposed modifications to the official plan for 1164 and 1166 Highcroft Drive to increase the density to the property to a maximum of 29 dwelling unit per gross hectare as detailed in document 2. B, approve the proposed amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 for 1164 and 1166 Highcraft Road to rezone from village residential first density zone, subzone P V1P to the village residential first density zone, subzone P with rural exception V1P to add a planned unit development as permitted use and to modify the performance standards as detailed in document 3. I believe we have Mr. Hume, Peter Hume, and Jack Stern sign up to speak if we need to. But on the item, can we carry item 2, or we have any questions for item 2?
Carry.
I see none. So we carry item 2.
Carry.
And I'm sure Mr. Hume and Mr. Stern, they would agree. They don't need to speak.
We're happy, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
It's nice to see both of them on this morning.
Nice to see you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, somehow I always want to call you Councilor Hume. So you were there for a long time. So thank you, Mr. Hume and Mr. Stern, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you. So item number 3 is the Llewellyn Goulburn Local Planning Appeal Tribunal Settlement. And so we have Dr. Stowe, and I believe we have Mr. Mark on the Zoom this morning to answer any question, but that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend that Council direct staff to seek the following modifications from the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal with respect to the following. 1, with respect to Official Plan Amendment 240, the redesignation of the lands as shown in document 1 from significant wetland to general rural area and rural natural feature area. And item number 2, with respect to zoning bylaw amendment 2020-53, the rezoning of the land as shown in document 2 from EP3 to RU. And the city has reached a proposed settlement with the 2 appealing to the Llewellyn Special Study Area and Goulburn Wetland OPA-ZBA. Staff seek approval from ARAC and Council for the proposed settlement. There is a presentation, if needed, from Robinson Consulting, but we have, as I said, Dr. Stowe and Mr. Mark on the call if we have any question, especially, I don't know if Nick, you want to take 5 minutes to the benefit of some of our new colleagues. I think Councillor Moffat and I, we've been around this file almost from day one, but to the benefit of our colleague, if you can spend 5 minutes, tell us what's this all about.
Yes, I'd be happy to, Mr. Chair. As part of the Llewellyn Special Study Area policy, the city hired Dillon Consulting to carry out a reevaluation of the boundaries of the Goulburn Wetland Complex in 2016. We then brought forward last year an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment to reflect the new provincially significant wetland boundaries. ARAC, Councillor Moffat introduced a motion to limit the designation of new wetlands, to limit the changes to the original Llewellyn Special Study Area. That was passed by ARAC and Council, and that left in place a significant wetland designation and the associated environmental protection zoning on several properties where Dillon had said there was no longer wetland. So this settlement would, if it's accepted by the Local Planning Appeals Tribunal, would remove the significant wetland designation from those portions of those properties and would also change the zoning to a more appropriate zoning.
Any question to Dr. Stowe or Councillor Meehan? Go ahead.
Thank you. So is it no longer a wetland then? What happened?
That's correct. These two areas are no longer wetlands. They both have been they have dried out as a result of improved drainage on both properties. So the owners of both properties had constructed drainage ditches and had done some vegetation clearing, all of which was legal. And as a result of those changes, the land has dried out. It no longer qualifies as wetland.
Does it have the potential to be wet again, given like environmental conditions?
Theoretically, if you were to block up the drains and back the water up onto the property, then the conditions would return, which would promote the development of wetlands. If something like that was to happen, it's always possible to go back and do another evaluation and reestablish a wetland designation, but that's certainly not our intent and not the intent of property owners.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Moffat.
Thanks. It's not a question for Nick, just a sort of a brief review from my angle on this issue and why it's in front of us. In order to, members of the committee might remember, obviously Councillor Kitts wasn't here at the time, but when the Fluellen Special Study Area report came forward with a zoning report, that's something that started back in 2005. And the scope changed over the years. And unfortunately, landowners were caught in a mix that weren't necessarily expected to be caught in the mix as of 2016. And so when we brought forward the final reports, I had reduced the scope back to the pre-2016 mapping. That left out a number of properties, some good and some bad, right? Because the further study did highlight areas like this where the lands were no longer deemed wetland, but our official plan still said they were. So now they get caught up in a zoning mix and different sort of planning applications, and that needs to be addressed. It was to be addressed as part of that report, which I kind of altered. So in one way, I helped a number of residents, but I also impacted negatively some others, and that's why this one needed to be fixed in this way. But to one of the points that Councillor Meehan made, and to Nick's response, that's kind of that's the crux of the issue when it comes to drainage in this area. Some of the designations are a result of poor drainage, and that you can artificially block land or just not maintain land from a drainage perspective, and it can become provincially significant wetland. It's kind of been the entire crux of the Goulburn wetland issue for over 15 years. So it's a frustrating issue. If anyone wants to represent Northern Goulburn, I'm happy to annex it to anyone else's ward. No, I'm just joking. But I just appreciate the work that Nick's done on this. It's unfortunate that some landowners got caught up in what I was attempting to do to address another issue last year. But I'm pleased that we're able to address it in this way and sort of fix that one spot. And I know you're bringing the rest forward anyways as a part of the official plan review later this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Moffat. And obviously that was Mr. Mark. The rest of the report will be coming by September before the official plan.
Mr. Chair, the rest will be coming. There's one appeal left on this matter that's under discussion at this time, and so there may or may not be a report on that in the second quarter. With respect to the balance of the lands, Dr. Stowe can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that will be in front of the Joint Committee and Council in September with the official plan.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mark. And yeah, thank you, Councillor Moffat. That's obviously a result of a motion was I think put forward about a year ago or so. Anyway, on the item, Kerry.
Carried.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Stowe and Mr. Mark for your appearance this morning.
Chair?
We have no delegation today, right, Mr. Desjardins, for the open mic session?
No delegations.
Inquiries? See none. Other business? Adjournment. And the next meeting is Thursday, April 1st. And I asked Mr. Desjardins if that was a joke, and he confirmed, no, it is April 1st,
April 1st.
Thursday. So,
You sure, eh?
well, that's what it sounds like. And folks, and we're adjourned. Did we break your record, Scott? No. Your
All my records less than 3 minutes.
Wow. We're not going to be able to achieve
No
that.
one will. No one will ever break that record. And if they do, I'll run again just so I can come back and break it again.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, folks, and have a great weekend.